Hey everyone, I've decided to do a writer's tag and they're actually really tricky to find, so I just want to give a quick shout out to Shaylin Writes. I had a quick look on her channel at some of her author tags and she found this one that was originally posted by, I think the name is Writer Mime. I'm going to look up the channel and I'll put a link to her channel in the description box. But also while I'm doing this video, I would like to recommend, it's going to be quite awkward because I'm going to try and hold my phone with one hand, dictaphones. These little devices are like a gift from heaven, genuinely. For my 19th birthday, I didn't want much, but I thought I really want to get a dictaphone. If you guys are happy to talk to yourself when you're like working on your dialogue for your characters, these are great fun. I've used it to plan some dialogue because I often find that when dialogue comes to me, rather than trying to write it down in, say, one of my notebooks or something like that, grab this, record your voice, have a bit of fun with it, and you can play it back, and it's quite handy because you can pause them, and when you're obviously typing it up or however you write, you can rework it and make obviously the dialogue sound more natural. But yeah, so I didn't write the questions down, so I'm going to play them on this, and I'll repeat the question just in case the audio doesn't pick it up on my phone. But this is question number 1.
Should you participate in National Novel Writing Month to create a book?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. Should you participate in NaNoWriMo to write a book? I'm going to be honest, I have never taken part in NaNoWriMo. I have no idea why. Probably because a couple of years back I probably didn't even know it existed, which is really annoying. But this year, for the first time, I am going to take part in NaNoWriMo. I have like a novel idea. Sorry, my cat's just come into my room. Hello, Phoebe. She just suddenly pushed open my door. Yeah, I have a couple of novel ideas, and I thought it would be a really nice way to start it by doing NaNoWriMo because it looks like an awesome community, and I'm really looking forward to it. It reminds me so much of Gishwez, and I just thought, yep. So, from my personal opinion, I don't think you have to like start your book for NaNoWriMo. I think it's a really encouraging community and it's lovely that lots of authors get involved with it. But no, I don't think it's an absolute necessity to choose NaNoWriMo, but everybody's different and it's what gets you motivated. But personally for me, no, I would write at any time, but I just think for that novel it would be quite nice to take part in NaNoWriMo. Okay, this is question 2.
Self-publishing or traditional publishing?
Okay. I haven't really had a chance to research much into them, and I'm going to guess that they've both probably got their pros and cons. And obviously with traditional publishing, I don't know, I guess it varies with publishing houses, like the amount of royalties you get. I think personally for me, what I plan to do is when I eventually reach a stage where I have a polished manuscript and I'm definitely ready to publish, I'll probably research more into the different opportunities, but whatever one comes up or whichever one works best, I'll probably go for. So, like I see a lot of really good competitions around for like, you know, debut novels or novellas that you can send off like parts of your manuscript, and if you win you can get a publishing contract. So I guess that would be quite a good way to try and publish your first one, but I would never say no to self-publishing either. I guess it's just weighing up the pros and cons and whatever works for whichever book. So I don't really have much preference for those types of things at the moment, but I'd just say stay open-minded, because you never know what's going to happen. Okay, this is question 3.
Write one idea at a time or write all the ideas at once?
That sounds like a nightmare. Well, yeah. I guess some of you may have heard of the term like plot bunnies, and that's very true. I think sometimes my brain gets like overcrowded with so many ideas. So what I try to do, I try to write down ideas that I get, and I guess it's really hard. I vary a lot, so sometimes I like to focus solely on one project, but other times it's like, oh, but look at this competition, I need to create something for this, or oh, I really like this idea, I want to start writing this one now. I have so many ideas that I haven't actually had the chance to write yet, but I guess I kind of dabble in different projects, but if I have like a really big idea, I like to focus on whatever I'm writing. So for example, for like my short story manuscript, I got into a really good routine, and I need to get a routine like this back. I would have one day to draft out the first draft of, say, one of my short stories or poems for my short fiction manuscript. Then the next day I would return to that one and give it its first mini edit, and then move on to the next one. That's like when I was first creating it. So yeah, I vary. I guess it just depends what project I'm working on, but once I actually start writing something, depending how far I get with it, I like to stick to it. So I just, kind of do whatever feels right at the time. Although it would probably be better if I just stick to one project. I try not to have like tons of writing projects on at once. Although with competitions, that's different. I mean, as soon as I see a competition that I'm interested in, I'm like, yep, I can either rework something I've already got or create something completely new. So, moving on to question 4, I think it is.
What genre is the easiest to write?
What genre is the easiest to write? I don't know. I think every genre has their own challenges, because I mean, when we create our worlds, every single genre can be hard to write in. I mean, short stories can be challenging because you have less words and you have to try and cram, well, not cram, but you have to really pace short stories well. And I just think any genre is amazing. I mean, the amount of effort that we as writers put in, any sane person wouldn't, do what we do. And it actually reminded me of once at college, there was this girl, I can't remember her name, I didn't even really know her. I think she was friends with one of my other friends, or they were in the same class. I was just talking about writing that day for some reason, and I talked about how I do write at night, because sometimes, I get more productive at night for some reason. I don't know if I'm probably a night owl, although some days I feel like I'm on the go all the time. And she was like, my cat just came in again and died under my bed. She gave me this like really weird look, like, you like writing, like you actually spend your time, like, she looked at me like I was the most saddest human being in the world. But actually I thought, love, I have my own hobbies, you probably have yours, lay off. I didn't actually say that, but I was like, yeah, and I love to write, sue me, It's like, I guess it's just hard from people's perspectives. If they're not writers themselves, they can't understand what it means to us and how much we need to write. It's not like a want, it is a need. So yeah, it was just reminded me of that. So I respect every single genre, and they all have their own challenges, and for any genre you write in, you're always going to need your plot, your conflicts, all these wonderful techniques we have to use as writers. So I don't think there's any genre that exceeds another.
Where do you need to write to get the work done?
Well, personally for me, I like to write in my bedroom with the television off, and although I type on my laptop, I write on my laptop, so I had to use my willpower to not look at YouTube. I wish I had the ability to listen to music when I write. I have done it before, but usually I can't. It's too much. I find it's too much stimulus for me. Like, I like to listen to songs as well for inspiration, but I can't have music in while I write. I think for me it's too much stimulus. I mean, I'm already imagining things in my head and dialogue that my character's going to say and evolving my plot and following my character's story, and it's like too much stimulus. I don't think my brain can cope with it. So personally, I like to be in my bedroom when I write, because if I'm downstairs in the living room and other people are there, it's too much to deal with and block out the TV and stuff. So I choose my bedroom.
Where do you find your inspiration?
Where do I find my inspiration? Oh, I like this question. There are so many sources that I can use for inspiration. A big one I think that gets underestimated a lot from non-writers is our imagination. We think about these worlds, we create them. Sometimes they just spark off in our brain and they seem to come from nowhere. Films, other books, music. I like listening to. I love songs that have stories. I love musicals as well. So I really enjoy listening to music and trying to work out like what song would fit with what characters. Everyday life is inspiration. When you walk down the street, you could see something that sparks off a story. I've wrote a poem once because of something I saw when I was on the bus on the way to work, and so I like to say inspiration can come from anywhere. I just have lots of different sources of inspiration, and sometimes just thinking about things, my imagination, I just create things. So yeah, but it just comes from anywhere really.
What age did you start writing?
I don't know the exact age I started writing, but I can tell you that I was very, very young. I have in my, I'll have to show it sometime, in my cupboard I have this little polka dot folder, and it's filled with all these really crudely put together little stories, and reading back over them, they're terrible, but then again, at the time. Even back then, there were quite some dark stories in there, so I was like, I must have been a very disturbed child. I've got these like little stapled together and magazine cut out pictures stuck on. I have loads of like mini little books that I have. So I started writing from a very young age. Yeah.
What's easiest to write? Short stories, standalones, series, etc.?
Well, a bit like linking back to the genre question, there's no easy answer. They can all be challenging. They all pose their own challenges, but it doesn't matter if you're writing a short story or a novel. You can always get your plot holes. You still have to plan, and it just varies. I guess for me though, personally, poetry is quite a natural form for me. So I think for in the sense of first drafts and just throwing something out there really quickly, like poetry for me, poetry is probably one of the easiest forms I find to write. Like, I don't always need to plan a poem, I can just do it, but they're still all challenging.
Do you mill your books or take years to write a book?
I don't know. I haven't finished. Well, I have finished pieces of writing, but I planned my very first novel that I haven't deleted it, but I've never completed it. I barely got into the couple of beginning chapters. It was an idea I had since senior school, and it was like a little story I did in class, and I really loved the characters, and I've developed it obviously, but in the beginning of writing it, I just suddenly stopped. I hit a really bad writer's block, but I just suddenly realised I'd been so obsessed with historical fiction for so long, and it's not that I won't ever stop loving historical fiction, but I just realised I've been reading the same things for so long. I want to move into different genres, and that's when I started branching out into like thrillers and just reading lots of different types of books. And yeah, so Weeping Beneath the Willow Tree. I never delete my first drafts because they can always be fixed and reworked. But yeah, so I don't really have an answer to this one. I guess I like to take my time. I don't believe in putting like a set period of time on writing anyway, because it's just too much pressure. Like, fair enough for competition deadlines, that's different, but I mean in the sense of like, oh, I want to get this project done by this date. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately, when you write. I think it takes the fun out of it, and I mean, if it's not fun, if you're having fun with your writing, you're going to write lots because you're enjoying it. If you put too much pressure on yourself, although it's good to have like tasks to keep you focused, like say for example, I'm going to write every single day, and I guess you can use set time for that, but yeah.
How fast can you type?
I can type very fast. My friends used to comment on that, like, bless her, one of my friends from senior school, she's at uni now, although luckily she still lives local, and I mean she goes to the local uni anyway, so I still see her. Bless her, she used to type with just like one finger, and I can do a bit of touch typing where you obviously look at the screen, don't look at your keys. I can type very fast. If I know exactly what I want to say in my head, I can type a first draft really, really fast. It's editing that's the one where I slow down, but yeah, I can type pretty fast, which is quite a nice thing to have. And I think when you write, you do just you just type away. So,
do you write in the dark or in the light?
I dabble. I write during the day, but sometimes I do write at night, because my creativity at night for some reason increases. I don't know why. Sometimes when I want to go to sleep, my brain just starts creating all these different stories and making all these different links, and I've regretted in the past when I've been like, no, I'm too tired, I'm not going to write this down. Then in the morning I've forgotten my idea, so I should just jot it down quickly, even if it's just a sentence. But yeah, sometimes at night my brain is like, we could do all this writing, and it's like, no, can't we just go to sleep? But you know, it's the fun part of being a writer.
Handwritten or typed?
Ooh, handwritten or typed? Oh, I type like the majority of the story, but I use handwriting for outlining. And I'm probably going to split this video in two because we're getting up to the 18-minute mark, so I'll continue this in a second.